Hello everyone and welcome to another Watercolor Wednesday. I am Allison with the blog A Glimpse Inside, and today we are kind of going more back to the basics. We're going to do this fun colorful vase with flowers. I just really wanted to do something kind of different and bright and cheery and just use colors I don't normally use. And so I thought just a fun little vase with some bright colored flowers, will do the trick. So for the stamps that we'll need for this painting are from the decorative jar set. This one right here, from the mini flower set. We are going to use this little bunch right here. From the original flower set, the daisy bunch, and then from foliage set 4, either one of the vines that you want to use. I'm not sure which direction mine's going here. Let's see. I am using that one right there. So, this is kind of, again, a random odd paper size. It's a 4x3. It's just kind of what I had left over. I try not to waste my watercolor paper after I trim. So I just kind of use whatever I have. So this is a 4x3, but you can easily make it bigger or smaller or whatever. So here is the paper. And then the colors that I'm using this time, again, I was trying to go different and bright. So we will be using good old number 45 sepia. And then everything changes from here. So number 22, lemon yellow. Number 8, violet. Number 19, carmine. Number 36, manganese blue. There we go. Number 96, jungle green. Number 83, butterscotch. Number 94, scarlet. And number 5, yellow. So again, super bright and cheery this time. But you can easily do this more toned down and to more neutral palette. So let's get started, shall we? So we're starting with our large jar and then just number 45 sepia. I'm not doubling the colors up today. You could, if I was going to do this as like a blue or even green or just like maybe even pink, I probably would use African violet and sepia. But since I'm making this a yellow vase, I did not want to use both of those this time. So we're just going right here in the center, just slightly down, because we want to leave plenty of room for our flowers. Alrighty. So we won't drag too much color out of the lines, but we will do some here. So I'm just going to dip my brush in water, pinch it off, and I'm going to start right here, kind of at the bottom of that little spout. And then we'll come down this side, and I'm just going to kind of feather that color towards the center just a little bit. You can see that. And then right where this little lip is, I am going to kind of paint this little lip in with this sepia. And then we're going to come also down this side of our jar and kind of do the same thing. We're just going to kind of feather this color towards the center here. And if you want, you can come all the way across the bottom even, because it will be a little darker down there. And then we're going to color in this part of the handle, because this is actually like the inside area of the handle. And then I'm going to kind of touch that right there. So that's all we're going to do for that. And we didn't need to do a lot because we will just be going over it with our yellow. So on my palette here, I'm going to do the lemon yellow and then also regular yellow. So I'm going to start painting my vase with the lemon yellow to start. So I'm just going to get color on my brush, and I'm going to paint pretty much right over everything that I just did. I will come up to the top, come down here, and then since this is a curved object, I'm going to leave a highlight in the middle. So I'm going to go all the way across the bottom and then just kind of leave it right there. Excuse me, that just came out super southern. Right there. Okay. I take a little color to this line underneath, as well as this handle. And then I'm just going to kind of come back over just a little bit and just kind of feather these lines a little more. Okay. So now this is our lighter color. So obviously we have our highlight in the center, and then as you go out, it's going to get darker. So now I'm going to take the regular yellow, and this is what's going to give me more of like the darker hues for my jar here, pitcher, that's what it is. So I'm going to focus on the outside and then kind of down at the bottom. So anywhere that, you know, we would have kind of the light not really shining straight onto. So right here, I'm going to make these darker. And then the more, of course, you go over this yellow, it will get darker and, you know, goldier. I'm going to stop right there. So now you can see we have kind of our shades here. I am going to take, put a little bit of sepia on my brush. I'm going to add just a tiny bit back in to certain areas. I'm going to try to get my brush on the little bit drier side. And then just kind of down here, make this a little darker, especially like right on the edges. And then same thing like under here, where, you know, this wouldn't be as bright as it is. And if you want, you can just add a little bit more shadow. Back in. You don't need to do too much. Just a little bit. Okay. So now we are pretty much done with the vase for right now. We're going to move on. And I'm going to do things slightly different today. Normally I will do the vines first and then come back in with my flowers. But today I'm going to start with flowers, and we're going to come back in then with our vines. So flowers for what I'm doing is the number 19 Carmen. You can use half the stamp. You can use the whole thing. We're going to do a little bit of both today. So I'm just going to sit here and make a big cluster anywhere that I feel, you know, where I would like it. So I'm going to kind of go over the handle a little bit right there. And I'm just going to just sit here and make a big full bouquet for this pot. So I'm going to wipe a little bit off, and I'm just going to use half of the stamp now. And I'm going to kind of come down over the pot. And then we'll do like a little bit right there. Let's see, let's come down if I can get this to come on the outside here. There we go. Okay, and that's all we're going to do there. I'm not going to, actually, yeah, we're going to touch it with water already. I was debating on how I wanted to do it, but okay. So we're going to go ahead and add our water. So you can spread this color, down over the jar, pitcher. I don't know why I can't remember the word pitcher right now. And just kind of spread these flowers out. Super saturated marker, super saturated color. So this is easily, able to just kind of spread around wherever you want it here. Just remember to dab and kind of leave some white space. Okay. So now we're going to put our vines in. So for the vines, I am doing number 96 Jungle Green today. It's not too different than the olive green actually, and then we're just going to come right in between all of these flowers. And just kind of stick our vines through however much you like. So I'm going to have some come down over the pot. Have some kind of sticking between these two flowers. So just kind of fill in any gaps. I'm going to have this one kind of come way up here. And this just kind of brings everything together. Doesn't make it look quite so lopsided anymore. Let's spin my paper here, and we're going to try to get a little bit down here. You can just do, if you want to do just a couple of them, just wipe it off with your finger. Just ink a couple, like maybe you want a little bit just sticking up over that flower. Or same thing, like right down there. So simple. Let me put a little bit right there. Okay, so let me center ourselves back up here. And then same thing, we're just going to touch with water, dip our brush in water, pinch it off, and then dab. And again, you can also just drag this color out of the lines to spread it a little farther. Maybe you're like, oh, that's kind of have a little bald spot. Just drag it over to where you need it to be. Or just take your stamp and add a couple more spots. These paintings are so easy to just customize. I painted the base first, obviously. Because I kind of wanted the color to shine through from the flowers and stuff. But you could always do the flower, like stamp your vase, do your flowers, and then just kind of come through around the flowers. And that way you don't get that color bleeding through. But I'm perfectly happy with it bleeding through. It's fine with me. So leaves are done. We have just this little... they are buds or flowers, but they're just so tiny. So I'm just going to do I'm going to do the whole thing. I'm going to do the stems and everything with the butterscotch. And I'm going to stop right before the leaves right there. And then I'm just going to kind of stamp this in anywhere that I just kind of want to add a little more color, a little more volume. Kind of put one down this way. And then I am going to try to kind of go down my whole stick, but I'm trying to avoid those leaves. And then we're just going to kind of pop one in the center right there. It's a little hard to see, but we get a little hint of color. And then dip our brush. I'm just going to barely touch those little orange blooms. I'm not going to go down the stems at all. Okay, so next, I'm going to take Scarlet and put a little bit on my palette. You can easily do this with the same like Carmine color, but I just kind of wanted to add a different tone here, hue, I guess. So I'm going to make my brush super thin, and I'm just going to get a little bit of that color. And I just wanted to add a couple stripes to my vase. So I'm just going to freehand this. If you don't feel comfortable doing this, you don't have to paint it. You could always just take the thin end of the marker, or you could lightly draw it in with a pencil first if that would make you more comfortable. I mean, these lines are definitely not perfect, but it's just a fun little detail to put on the bottom of your vase. And really, we're almost done. So next I'm going to do violet as the, I guess, table that our lovely vase is sitting on. So I'm just going to kind of decide how tall up here I want my table to look. And I'm just going to kind of just do like long brush strokes. Fortunately, I had my brush pretty wet here, so I may have to come back to this in a moment. But so I'm going to leave that for just a second. We're going to come back to that. And then for the sky, not sky, I am doing blue, but we're going to say this is just like a watercolor behind it. So I'm going to do the manganese blue. So I'm just going to put that on my palette. And I'm not going to add very much of this. I'm just kind of touch it like right down here, just to kind of ground it. Same way on this side. Just kind of go the length of our table, and then I'm just going to add a little bit up here on either side, and that's all we're going to do for that. I mean, you could keep going, but there's really no need. So, okay. So let me try to get let's get our table going here. So I'm going to try to get my brush a little drier here and do some darker kind of strokes here on the table. Thinner strokes to kind of give a little interest and movement. You could do this with any color, African violet or whatever you would like, and but you know, choose your favorite. And then I'm gonna kind of focus on this one side and try to make this area a little darker, as if like the flowers are kind of casting more of a shadow on this end of our table. So, and if you have to, you'll have to kind of go over it a couple times, but I'm also just going to take, let me move my brush here. I'm also just going to kind of take my, my purple. I'm just going to kind of come in and just do a couple of lines to kind of darken up with the thin side. And that way then, for sure, I know it's going to look darker over there. And you could always just come over it with your brush. But they kind of blend in pretty well, like you don't really need to touch them with water. And that's pretty much it. On my sample one, I did take a little bit of my flower color And I just kind of like touch the table. Kind of make it look like, you know, you had a couple petals fall. You could leave that part off. It's up to you. But that's it, guys. I'm just going to sign and date it. And there you have it. Back to the basics, little picture full of flowers. So, again, easy customizable. Use any flowers or pictures, vases that you have, and whatever your favorite colors are. Again, I just wanted to go real bright and cherry for this one. So yeah, have fun with them. They're, you know, totally fun little things to do. So I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.